Mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Okay, dokie. See what time we got, what time we got, what time we got. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the P-Ave Perspective. I'm your host, Mr. O'Neill, and as usual, whether you're tuning in live or whether you're watching the replay on YouTube, I appreciate you taking this time out to join me. Today, Thursday. Tomorrow is the 4th, Independence Day for people who celebrate it. Happy Independence Day for those who celebrate Independence Day. Hopefully everybody is off and get to enjoy themselves. I personally don't celebrate holidays, but I always take time to take days off when I can or wherever, you know what I'm saying, and to celebrate family and just celebrate life. So hopefully, you know what I'm saying, y'all getting together and doing something tomorrow. But stay safe. Stay safe, let me say that. But hopefully everybody is okay. Hopefully everybody is in good health. For those that are not, I send up a prayer for you. And again, like I said, thank y'all for joining me tonight. And as usual, anything I speak about on this platform, I try to keep it real. I try to keep it, you know what I'm saying, helpful, and kind of use this, you know what I'm saying, as, like I say, the speaking grounds where we can speak freely, communicate, share our thoughts and opinions, and talk about issues, like I say, that affect us, that affect our communities, and hopefully give some solutions to where we could better ourselves and better our situation. And tonight, we're going to discuss, or I'm going to discuss domestic violence. And this one, you know what I'm saying, is always going to be touchy. Like most of these subjects, this is always going to be touchy for me because it's wrong. It's wrong. And I understand in doing, you know what I'm saying, the research for this piece. I understand that for so long in our community, it was just not discussed. It's always going on. As bad as I hate to say that, it's always going on in our community, but it's always been kept behind closed doors and kept in the closet. And like I've said before on this show, one of the worst things we as black people were taught when it comes to that is don't discuss what go on in this house outside of this house. And that teaching alone has caused so many problems and so much destruction in our families and in our communities. And that statement is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I was taught that too. And I realize now as an adult, you know what I'm saying? Now don't get me wrong. I don't feel like, you know what I'm saying, that kids should go outside of the home and tell everything that go on in the home. But at the same time, if somebody is being hurt, if somebody is being mistreated in any way, shape, or form, they should never be afraid to speak out. And this episode is called Speak Out, Somebody's Listening, because I want every woman and really anybody going through domestic violence to know that, number one, you are not alone. Number two, you are not powerless. And number three, and most importantly, you deserve better. You deserve better. We are here to listen, we are here to support, and we are here to provide real solutions. And I just want to say that to start the show off. So if you or someone you know is dealing with domestic violence, stay with us, because this conversation could change your life. This conversation could change your life. And let's be clear. Nobody, man or woman, deserves to be abused. Man, woman, child, nobody. They got animal rights people now to make sure you don't abuse the animals, and I'm cool with that. So, no human should be abused, especially in a home. No one should, have to live in fear inside their home. And yet so many women, especially in our communities, suffer in silence. And I'm glancing down to read this because I want to make sure I get these points across. They stay quiet out of fear, shame, and because they feel like they have nowhere to turn. But tonight, I want to hopefully break that silence. I want to break that silence. And like I said, this one is touchy with me because, like I said, I was taught different, but I saw it. And I've seen firsthand how domestic violence destroys lives. I've had women close to me suffer through it, and some of them never spoke out. Some felt trapped, some felt alone, and some didn't make it out. But for those who are still here, for those who need help, for those who want to reclaim their power, this show is for you. This show is for you. Man, like, it's crazy because honestly, like, the reality of it is just crazy. The reality of it is just crazy. And like I said, I've spoke on it before. It goes all the way back to my childhood. And like I said, I was taught that it wasn't cool, but I also saw it. I also saw it, and I tried to do something about it. But the fact of the matter is, let me explain this first. Domestic violence. Domestic violence is not just physical. It's emotional, it's psychological, it's financial, it's basically control. It's a person using whatever means necessary to control you, even physical violence. But it's someone taking away your voice, your freedom, and making you feel like you have no way out. And more than 1 in 3 women in the United States have experienced domestic violence in some form. And for black women, the numbers are so much higher. And yet, many never report it because of fear, because of judgment, or because of lack of support. And this has to stop, man. It has to stop. Really, it has to stop. And the first step in stopping it is speaking out. If you are in this situation, know this: you are not crazy, you are not weak, you are not alone, and most importantly, you do not deserve this. You do not deserve this. And I want to hear, you know what I'm saying, from my people tonight. You know what I'm saying? Good evening, Miss Alicia. Thank you for joining me. But I want to hear from you. If you are watching and have been through domestic violence, drop a comment. If you're comfortable. If you're comfortable. If you know somebody who's been through domestic violence, drop a comment. But honestly, like I said, this subject is touchy to me because as a man, I've always stood on protecting women. And that started with my sisters, like I tell people all the time. The day my mother brought my first little sister home and said, "This is your sister," this is, like, I took that personally. And it's like the respect that I had for my sisters. Like I said, my mother later on in life told me, the first time I ever brought a girl home, like I told a story before, my mother told me, she said, "Your sisters are watching you. Everything you do to girls, your sister's watching you, and they're going to feel like it's okay for guys to do that to them too." And that changed my whole concept on life. And I've always been that person to where I've always protected my sisters with everything in me, and tried to protect my mother with everything in me, and tried to protect all the women around me with everything in me. And the reason why this, you know what I'm saying, show is so personal to me is because I found out later in life that no matter how protective I was, and no matter how protective I tried to be, that shit still happened on my watch. It still happened on my watch. And the fact that me as a man, and I take that protection thing to heart, it still hurt me to this day. It still hurts me to my core to this day that some women that are close to me have come out and told me that they've actually been in abusive situations. And for the life of me, like, every time one of them told me that, it hurt me to my core. It did. It hurt me to my core. And I still haven't recovered. I still haven't recovered. But the reason for this show, and we're going to talk about this, you know what I'm saying, before. We're going to talk about this again later on. Like, we're going to touch on it. I'm going to bring some more people. I'm going to bring some of these actual people to come and talk about this. But it hurt me, and just like I said, this is like you know what I'm saying, what they call it, a session for me to just speak about it. But I wasn't able to be there for him. I wasn't able to be there for him. And this show and this topic, like, speak out, somebody's listening, is crazy because, like I said, I was there and they knew they could speak out. But me being who I was and them knowing me and knowing what I was going to do in the situation, they never told me. They never told me. And that hurts me more. It hurts me bad enough that they had to go through it and deal with it, but it hurts me more to the point where they couldn't tell me. They couldn't tell me because they were fearful of what I would do, and really what I would do to harm myself. Mainly, I probably would have ended up in prison. No doubt, you know what I'm saying? It's like probably guaranteed I would have ended up in prison, because it wouldn't have been no, I want to get away with this or plan it, and it wouldn't have been nothing like that. It would have been sheer rage, sheer anger. So I respect that to the fullest, that they didn't tell me, but the fact that they couldn't, the fact that they had to suffer in silence, that's what drives me most. Because, like I said, nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves that. And like I said, I haven't been perfect when it comes to women and dealing with women, girlfriends, my kid's mother, everything. I'm never going to say that I was perfect in any situation. But since I could understand, I understood that everybody has the right to live their life how they want to live it. Nobody has the right to be controlled. Nobody has the right to be manipulated. And nobody, I mean nobody, again I say, nobody has the right to be abused. Especially by somebody that supposedly cares about you, or somebody that supposedly cares about you. Like, that shit is not, it don't add up. It don't add up. And sometimes, like I said, even though I couldn't beat her, like, sometimes all it takes is for someone to say, I hear you and I believe you. And it's like, that is the worst to me. And let me say this. I have to say this because we got a lot going on, you know what I'm saying, in the media right now, where people have been accused of, different stuff. And let me say this. This show is not based on any of that, because everybody not a victim. I'm going to say that everybody not a victim. I'm speaking to the victims. And that's not, you know what I'm saying I'm disrespecting, you know what I'm saying, everybody. It's just that's a different topic. I'm talking to the real victims. And like I said, it's crazy that it's still going on right now. But like I said, I was the guy that every time I saw a woman that said that the guy said, okay, well, I see something happen on TV. You know what I'm saying? Where a boyfriend is abusing the girlfriend. I used to be the guy to say, man, where her brothers at? Where her, you know what I'm saying? Like uncles at? You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, the women in my family, like I tell people all the time, I said it once and I said it again. It was a no tell me policy. It was a no tell me policy. Hey, whatever went on, hey, let's call the police. Let's get the police to handle it. Don't tell that guy. And like I said, I hate it now, knowing what happened without my knowledge. But it's like, I understand. And like I said, it's crazy because, like I said, that's all people need sometimes. That's all people need is somebody to, hey, I hear you. Hey, I understand. Hey, I believe you. Because I've also been told that they told other people and other people didn't believe it. And, I mean, I am a changed man. I am a family man now. I am a law-abiding citizen, and I stay out the way. But it still don't mess with mine. It still don't mess with mine. That never changes. So the fact that this still goes on so much in our community, man, like, it's alarming. And it shows just how really destructive and like damaging we are as people. Because I've never seen so much, like, it's coming out now because of social media and everything like that. But it's still like people think this shit is cool. And people think it's okay when it's not. And like, I hear people joke about it. I hear, you know what I'm saying, girls these days, if I would have did that, my man would have went upside my head. And and my man would have, like, that shit is not cool. That shit is not cute. That is not love. That is not, real. That is not jealousy, as they say. That shit there is out of control. That is, against the law. That is against human nature to try to control someone. You know what I'm saying? Like, to that level. For real. And just like I said, through history, just like I said, financial control. I looked at that because back in the days, most of the women were stay-at-home moms. They didn't have income. They depended on their husbands. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of, a lot of it went on then because those women, couldn't, fend for themselves financially. They didn't know where they were going to go. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have people, back then was more laid back and like, okay, well, we stay out of there. They married, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I know fathers, and like, God forbid, like, that's why I tell my daughters right now, I can't even give them away. I told both of them, I have two, you know what I'm saying, older daughters right now, and I told them, like, I can't give y'all away because if I find out or I hear that that's going on, I'm coming back to get y'all. I'm coming back to take y'all back. And it's crazy. It's crazy because, like I said, a lot of times, most of the times, we don't know what's going on. And that's really the scariest part. People having to suffer in silence and us not going on. And then, just like I said, the people that see it and just say, well, I'm not going to say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me say this for all the people that I'm telling to listen and for all the people that I tell to get involved. Don't get me wrong. I understand and I'm going to say this, you can't be the hero in situations. You can't be the hero in situations because I've crashed in as the hero in a lot of situations like that. We're in abusive situations. I've crashed in and tried to call myself protecting women, and those women have turned around and helped those guys. And I had one, you know what I'm saying, where the guy was literally pummeling the girl, and I pummeled him, and she showed up in court, you know what I'm saying, to press charges with him against me. And so I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying, like, get into that type, you know what I'm saying, get in there like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying get in there like that, but you still can be supportive. You still can be supportive. You know what I'm saying? I recently had a situation where my daughter got into a situation and with her mother's boyfriend. And just like I said, with kids, you always respect your elders, but elders respect kids too. And as soon as I heard about it, I pulled up to get my daughter, got my daughter, but I noticed her mother, other kids, and the guy standing there with the mask on his face, you know what I'm saying? And like, I wanted to protect. I wanted to protect like I normally protect, but I couldn't. So I asked my wife, just being the man that I am, and my wife knowing who I am, I asked my wife, hey, let her know, hey, I think this guy is on some abusive, controlling stuff, this and that third. Like, I'm looking at the situation and like, I want to do something about it, but I can't do what I normally could do. Like, would it be okay if we tell my BM, my kid's mother, and, you know what I'm saying, my kids, and bring them back to live with us and get away from this right now? And my wife, knowing who I am and how I am, she said, yeah, come on, because she know I can't stand that, and that's just how serious I am when it comes to that. But a lot of times they won't leave. I've seen it 1,000 times. They protect the guys. They, out of fear, out of love, whatever it is. I can't even get into that part because that's a psychological part. That's a psychological part of it that I'm not versed on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not versed on that. But let's talk about why so many women don't speak out. You know what I'm saying? Because I did my research. And like, some, like I said, are financially dependent on their abuser. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was in the older days. You know what I'm saying? Where you had more stay-at-home moms. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's one thing I've always said about that. You know what I'm saying? Where I see it with men. I see it with men. And it's a trend nowadays where the man, you know what I'm saying, says, okay, I'm going to pay everything. I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to work. You don't have to do anything. Like I tell people, and I talk to a lot of women who have had legitimate guys, legitimate money, legitimate, like, I can do it. I can take care of you. You can shop. You don't have to do anything. But I've also, you know what I'm saying, talked to those women and see that a lot of guys use that as a form of control, financial control. You know what I'm saying? If I'm taking care of you, you not working, then you do what I say. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, if you choose, you got a lot of women these days that choose to get in situations like that. So I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you if you choose to be in a situation like that. But like I said, some people unknowingly, you know what I'm saying, thinking this person really cares about them, thinking that this person, you know what I'm saying, really loves them and wants to support them, and then they flip the script. And it's not cool. It's not cool. I don't care what it is. You know what I'm saying? And you deserve better. But number two, some feel like they have nowhere to go. And this right here is even more prevalent because we aren't as strong as families as we used to be. And I swear, like I don't do it nearly enough, but I try to reach out to the women that are close to me on the regular to just say, hey, how you doing? You good? I love you. You know what I'm saying? But like, hopefully none of them, but I've known now that women have said in, you know what I'm saying, my face, acting like they happy, acting like, you know, they just the happiest people in the world when all along they were getting abused. And they couldn't tell me. They didn't feel comfortable telling me. And some are afraid for their children. And that's like another thing because you should be afraid for your children. But most importantly, you should be afraid that your children have to see you in that position. Because you don't know what it does to your kids. You don't know what it does to your kids. Just like my mother told me, you know what I'm saying, and how I treated women. If your daughters are watching you be abused, they're being taught that it's okay. If you're not standing up, if you're taking it, if you're accepting it, they are being taught that it's okay. Your sons are being taught that it's okay to do that. That's learned behavior. That's how, you know what I'm saying, it's so prevalent in our communities because it's learned behavior. Most of the guys that I, you know what I'm saying, know personally that have been abusive toward women, they saw it. They saw their mother being abused and they saw, you know, their mother not accepting it basically for whatever reason. But, and sadly, some don't think they are worth saving, man. And like, that is the worst. That is the worst because, like I said, any form of abuse, it messes with you mental and it messes with you emotionally. And the more you take it, the really worse you become. And to the point where you really stop loving yourself, you really stop caring about yourself, and you feel like that you deserve what's being done to you. And excuse my French, but that's bullshit. That's bullshit. I still say nobody deserves that. And however you get around to it, however you figure it out, like, you deserve better. If you going through that and you know what I'm saying, you deserve better. You are worth so much more than that. You worth so much more than that. But I have to tell you, you are worth more than that. Your life is valuable. You deserve peace. You deserve freedom. And there are people here ready to help you to take the first step. To take the first step. Like, has anybody ever helped somebody in those situations? Because like I said, I've helped people, you know what I'm saying? And I've had people turn on me. I've had people go back to the abuser. I've had people tell me I don't understand, and I don't. I don't. I won't act like I do. But I can empathize with anybody. And just like I said, God forbid, because like I just had, you know what I'm saying, that spirit, like I would lash out, I would fight. You know what I'm saying? I would do so much. And like I said, I always tell people that I don't expect people to be me, but I just want to encourage anybody that's going through this, man, to like get out before it's too late. Get out before it's too late. Because I'm not going to lie. Like, I tell my daughters, I watch these youngsters, and most of them are products of the same thing. Most of them are products of their environment. And they're, these young men don't have control of their emotions. They don't know how to deal with their emotions. They don't, respect women, and they don't respect life. They don't. And now it's getting out of hand. Now it's getting out of hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't tell you over the years how the increase in like abuse amongst, you know what I'm saying, wives and husbands, boyfriends and girlfriends. It's just so crazy now. And it's going to the point where people are dying. People are actually dying. These boyfriends and husbands are killing their wives and girlfriends. And these wives, you know what I'm saying, are getting to the point where they've had enough and they're killing their husbands. Or they killing their abusers. And man, it should never get to that. It should never get to that. It should never get to the point where a person wants to harm another person, man. For real. Not somebody that you supposed to care about or that you one time cared about. I wouldn't even stay with a person long enough for me to dislike them like that, or for them to dislike me like that. But we have to be a part of the solution, man. As friends, you know what I'm saying, we have to be more diligent. And really, you know what I'm saying, more, like I said, I could have been more willing to talk. And like I said, that's in me learning it, I try to be more because like I said, I have daughters. And with all my kids, I try to be open in the communication, but with my daughters also, you know what I'm saying? They got the same mentality, but I try to keep that line of communication open to let them know that I will help. I will help in any way I can. Whether it's, help come, you know what I'm saying, getting them to move out. Getting them to move out, coming to get them out of the situation, whatever it is. Offer them an outlet, somebody to talk to. Somebody who just listens, you know what I'm saying, and like a shoulder. Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes to let them know that they are not alone, man. And like somebody listening. And somebody here to help. Because they have to know that. They have to know that. Yes, I wish more people would leave, but they don't. And more times, it should be the person being abused or losing their lives. Exactly. And that's like I said, God forbid. I see it on the news. I see it on the news all the time. And it's like, that would take me out. That would take me out. And just like I said, that made me change my stance on not being as angry and quick to lash out, and be more quick to listen, and be more quick to be concerned, and to do what I can to help them. To do what I can to help them, and not so much harm the other person. That's where I had to get myself to a space when it comes to the women, you know what I'm saying, I care about. To the point where, like, I realize now that if I did, you know what I'm saying, do something and lose my freedom on top of what they already been through, that would only put more on their heart, put more, make them feel like they are responsible for the situation and stuff like that. So I've got to the point where I'm more laid back, and I'm going to focus more of my energy on trying to help them. And that's where we need to get, man. We need people to understand and people to know that we here. We here. We are here, man. We are here. We are here. But this is what I want to give y'all, to the women that's in this situation. I want to give you some tips. And I talked to, you know what I'm saying, a few people about this to get really helpful tips. And I looked up, the domestic abuse you know what I'm saying, an abuse hotline to really, you know what I'm saying, figure out, you know what I'm saying, some helpful tips that I could give a person in this situation. And number one is when you get ready to leave or you want to think about leaving, like number one, make a plan. If you're planning to leave, have a safety plan in place. Find a safe place to go, gather important documents, and don't let your abuser know you're planning to leave. Number two, get support. There are domestic violence shelters and organizations that can help you. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to do it alone. Number three, know your worth. You don't have to prove to anyone why you deserve a better life. You don't have to prove that to anybody. You deserve it. You already deserve it because of who you are. Everybody deserves it. And protect yourself. If you are in immediate danger, call 911. If you can't talk, text a trusted friend or a hotline. Now, the National Domestic Violence Hotline number is 800-799-7233. And if you can't talk, you can text BEGIN, BEGIN, to 88788. Again, the domestic violence hotline is 800-799-7233. Or if you can't talk and you have to text BEGIN, BEGIN, to 88788. And for anybody who listening who knows someone in an abusive situation, don't judge them, don't pressure them, just be there for them. Let them know you are listening. Sometimes that's all it takes for them to find the courage to leave, man. That's all it takes. And we have to start caring, man. We have that's like and like I said, man, people to this day I still catch flack because I get in people business. I get in people business. And I'm gonna say this. It's not my business if I don't care about it. You know what I'm saying? I still get accused, you know what I'm saying? I still, you know, to the women, like I still being accused of my daddy being my business, my uncle being my business. You know what I'm saying? And just like I said, I can't apologize for that. I'm not gonna apologize for that. You know what I'm saying? And like I understand for the people who say, hey, you know what I'm saying? And I tell my daughters and I tell all of them, like, don't get to the point one day where you wish I was in your business. Because it's too much going on. It's too much going on. And everybody turning a blind eye to it. And everybody, you know what I'm saying? People, you know what I'm saying, quick to record some shit. And people quick to run to the internet, you know what I'm saying, with some shit when they do see it. Instead of, you know what I'm saying, trying to help the situation. That's not, you know what I'm saying, helping the situation when you see somebody doing something, you know what I'm saying, and you see it out in public and you record it and want to bring it to social media without, you know what I'm saying, at least trying to step in and say, hey, y'all don't need to be doing that. Or, you know what I'm saying, like, it's and just like I said, I'm a firm believer. I'm not talking about the abusive women who hit men, you know what I'm saying? And like, no, I firmly believe if you get hit, you hit people, you know what I'm saying? You deserve to get hit back. I'm with that. But nobody deserves to be controlled. Nobody deserves to be abused. Nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves that, man or woman. But like I said, man, I'm a different breed of man. So I know it happens. I know it happens. But number one, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna let it happen to me. You know what I'm saying? I would move around. So I'm not speaking to the guys, but like I said, I know the impact that that has on those women. I know the impact that that has on those kids because I've dealt with, you know what I'm saying, those women as girlfriends, as friends, as sisters, as mothers. I've dealt with those women in my personal life. You know what I'm saying? And I know firsthand how it affects them. And I'm not okay with that. I would never be okay with that. I would never be okay with that. So, again, speak out. Somebody's listening. Somebody is listening. And again, I stress, tonight's message is so simple. Speak out. Somebody's listening. You don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to fight alone. And you definitely don't have to stay where you are not valued and safe. Man, do you realize that is one of the most important factors to life? Is being safe. Is being safe. Aside from food, air, shelter, and stuff like that, safety. Safety is one of the most vital ingredients to a healthy life. If a person is, we know, if a person is not fed properly, if a person is not sheltered properly, basic needs, and a person doesn't feel protected, that person cannot thrive as a person. That takes away a part of a person. That deteriorates a person just like you denying them food. That's, you know what I'm saying, like a person being denied food, a person being denied water. A person in an abusive situation is slowly but surely being destroyed. Being destroyed emotionally, being destroyed mentally, and we already know when you are bankrupt mentally and bankrupt emotionally, it takes a physical toll on your body. And that shit can kill you over time, or in serious abusive situations, it could kill you quicker than not. And nobody deserves that shit. Nobody deserves to have to put up with it. And it gotta stop. It gotta stop, man. But like I said, it start with us, man. It start with us saying no. It start with us saying, if I see it, I'm gonna call it out. You know what I'm saying? It starts with us, you know what I'm saying, checking on our people on the regular. It starts with us, you know what I'm saying, just being there. Just being there to listen. That's where it started. But if we continue the silence about it, if we continue to say, okay, we just not going to speak on it in public, and we just going to keep it in-house, and we just not going to talk about it, and we just not going to address it, it's going to continue to happen. And like I always say, don't get to the point where it happened to somebody close to you and you lose somebody close to you behind it before it registered, man. Because with all of this, that's my worst fear. That's my worst fear. That's why I've always spoke out. That's why I would always, you know what I'm saying, be an advocate. And that's why I will always stand against it. Because God forbid, I don't know what I would do if it happened to me. And like I said, I'm glad that the women that I've dealt with it in the past, you know what I'm saying, for the most part, they're hurt, they're healthy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them have overcame it and became champions of the cause. And like I said, eventually, in the future, I'm going to bring some of those people to the program to talk about it and to really, you know what I'm saying, get deeper into it. and get more into the psychology of it. Because like I said, I'm a male. You know, I can talk to people, I can understand, but there's certain stuff that, you know what I'm saying, while I empathize, I can't relate. So, like I said, I don't speak on that. I don't know what I'm saying, I speak what I know. I can give my opinion, but like I said, not understanding it, you know what I'm saying, my opinion is just like a butthole, like everybody got one. And the subject is too touchy and it's too dear to me to just speak out of turn on. You know what I'm saying? It's too dear to me. But again, I know the difference between victims and the bullshitters. And again, I'm not talking to the bullshitters. Don't get nobody in your bullshit. Meaning, don't, know what I'm saying, be over there, know what I'm saying, and then utilize that or try to get somebody involved, you know what I'm saying, to hurt the guy because you fell out with him now or because he did something you don't like. You know what I'm saying? Don't manipulate. And like I say that because that takes away from the real victims. A lot of this stuff I see in the media is being, you know what I'm saying, sensationalized, and a lot of people who aren't victims are screaming victim and playing victim to the point where it's like the boy who cried wolf. So many people are out here, you know, that's lying and fronting to the point where a lot of it is going on behind the scenes in real life and it's being overlooked. And I don't like that. That's not cool. Because there's people going through real shit, you know what I'm saying? And like people out here sensationalizing it or try to use situations, you know what I'm saying, to capitalize financially or to get somebody in trouble or to get back at somebody or to get even with somebody. That's not what it's all about, man. But domestic violence is wrong. Any type of, you know what I'm saying, violence like that is wrong. Any type, whether it's children, whether it's adults, anything. If somebody is controlling you and forcing you to do stuff against your will, that shit is wrong. Slavery was abolished in the United States, and that should go for everybody. That should go for everybody. If you can't control yourself as a woman, I'm not going to be with you. And that's how any man should see it. And if you won't, know what I'm saying, a woman, know what I'm saying, to, you know, serve, honor, and like, go find you one that's willing. Go find you one, do what you need to do for her, you know what I'm saying, and find you one that's willing. There's somebody out there. There's somebody out there for everybody. But that abusive shit is going to get you locked up or worse. That controlling shit is going to get you locked up or worse, and you deserve it. If you deserve it. And I say that, you know what I'm saying, proudly, because most of those abusive guys like that, the one thing I hate the most is they not, you know what I'm saying, they not that active, you know what I'm saying, towards guys. And that's what I hate about it. That's what I, know what I'm saying, really hate about, you know what I'm saying, most of the guys, because not just on no stuff, but I'm a man. A woman can get away with so much more, you know what I'm saying, with me than a man can. But I notice about those abusive guys, they be active when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, a woman and somebody that they, you know what I'm saying, have that control over, but they don't have that energy toward men. Most of them don't. And just like I said, even more so, if you that type to the point where, you know what I'm saying, you want to jump and you want to control all, you got to respect me, but then you ain't, you know what I'm saying, even more active toward a man in the same time, like, you a punk in my book. You're not a real man. You're not a real man. And I stand on that. For real. And people that know me in my time, women, you get out of line, you disrespect, I'll let you make it. You call me out of my name, okay, I'll let you make it on a lot of, but a guy, you can't get that pass. You can't get that pass. And that's just me as a real man. Because of how I was taught and how I was schooled. That is a woman. You know what I'm saying? That is a woman. And just like I said, I'm not telling no brother to go for disrespect, but if you have to try to physically or you have to try to, you know what I'm saying, abuse, or if you have to try to belittle her in any way to try to stop her from doing something, that don't make you a man. A man is not going to be where he's not respected. As simply as that. And like I said, I stand on it. That's not what we doing. And if it is, we need to stop because it's not right. Because at the same token, like me, I got daughters. I got daughters. And just like I said, I know the women that I've dealt with, they've had brothers. They have dads. And I'm not going to say I'm the toughest guy in the game to the point where I'm going to, know what I'm saying, disrespect somebody else's daughter or abuse somebody else's daughter or abuse somebody else's sister and don't feel like it could be consequences behind it. So yeah, man, but ladies, it's not cool. That shit is not cute. That's not, oh, he just jealous. That shit is a real problem. That shit is not cool, and it should never be tolerated. Never. And if you're in an abusive situation, then you need to do what you can to get out now, to let somebody know, to start making plans to get out now before it's too late. Before it's too late. So again, I stress to every woman watching this, if no one else has told you lately, you are strong, you are worthy, and your life matters. And for every person who has been through it and made it out, I encourage you to be a light for someone else. Let them know that they are not alone. Let them know that, man. For real. Because if you need help, reach out. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24 hours at 800-799-SAFE. If you're afraid to call, there's a text option. Text BEGIN, BEGIN, to 88788. If you need local resources, hit me up and I'll help connect you. But whatever you do, don't stay silent. Don't stay silent. Speak out. Somebody is listening. Hey man, we almost out of time. So again, thank you for joining. I appreciate you tuning in. And if you like the episode or you enjoy, know what I'm saying, you can dig the conversation. Like, share, show your support. And most important, if you know somebody or you even suspect somebody, you know what I'm saying, is in a domestic violence situation, ask them if they're okay. Check on them. Even if they don't tell you, check on them. Check on them on the regular. Ask them if they're okay, and do your best to let them know that you're here to listen if they ever need to talk without judgment. Really. And if you're a gossiper, if you're going to take it to social media, you the problem. Sit down somewhere. We don't need no more exposing or none of this. We need people that's going to help genuinely. So again, speak out. Somebody listening. I hope this show has helped somebody. I hope this whole video will help more people. That's why I do these videos and that's why I put them up. But again, thank you for spending your Thursday evening with me. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I appreciate the support. And this is Mr. O'Neal from the P-Ave Perspective. And I bid you all a good night. Peace.